Hi, I'm Jillian. Welcome to a brand new episode of the Blogger Genius podcast. But before I launch in, I have a question for you. How are you planning to grow your income in 2024 with competition from AI content and ad revenue potentially declining due to the phase out of third-party cookies? My advice? It's time to pivot by selling your own digital products and services to your audience. And this is where MiloTreeCart comes in. Imagine setting up unlimited memberships, digital downloads, workshops, coaching, and mini courses in less than 10 minutes. MiloTreeCart isn't just another tech tool. It's the easiest you've ever used with real people behind it ready to help. And here's the best part. For our first 1,000 VIP customers, we're offering MiloTreeCart for a one-time lifetime deal of just $349. No recurring fees, and our customers often find it pays for itself after their first product launch. Then we're going to a traditional subscription model, so get it now. Plus, we're all about trust, so we offer a 30-day, no questions asked, money-back guarantee. There's absolutely no risk in giving it a try. Ready to explode your income in 2024? Visit MiloTree.com and grab this exclusive offer. And here is a bonus. Purchase by the end of December, and I will include a lifetime MiloTree Pop-Up account worth $250 to help you grow your followers on TikTok, Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook, YouTube, and your email list. This bonus is essential for growing your audience in 2024. So don't forget, you have the power to turn your passion into profit. Pause this episode, head over to MiloTree.com, and become one of our VIPs.
Welcome to the Blogger Genius podcast, brought to you by MiloTree. Here's your host, Jillian Leslie.
Hello, my friends. Welcome back to the show. This episode has such a good story in it. It is all about possibility, making money in ways you didn't know you could. Today, I am interviewing Natasha Levai from the food blog Natasha's Home. She is a gluten-free sourdough baker, and she went on a journey that she is going to share on how she started selling an ebook that led to a workshop, that led to another workshop, and now she's made almost $1,500 in less than 2 months. She just kept saying yes and trying. And that's all it takes. So without further delay, here is my interview with Natasha Levai. Natasha, welcome to the Blogger Genius podcast.
Thank you for having me. It's really fun.
Where are you located?
I am in Hungary. It's Eastern Europe.
Got it. Okay. And
really close. Sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I just wanted to add that it's really close to Ukraine. We're like a couple hours away from the border, I think.
Okay. And is it safe where you are?
Yes, it is. It was very uncertain when the war started, but right now it is.
That is very good to hear. Now, you are a food blogger, and your niche is
gluten-free, and specifically gluten-free sourdough.
I love that. So gluten-free sourdough. Then this is a fun story. I came into your universe when?
So I really like listening to podcasts when I go on walks or when I'm doing dishes or something. And I like to be inspired about my blogging journey because I'm alone and it can be lonely. And there are a couple of podcasts that I listen to is Eat Blog Talk podcast, the Food Blogger Pro, and a couple of others. And so I was listening to her, to Megan's podcast on digital products, and you were the one speaking. And it was really inspiring to hear how easy it could be to sell digital products. And I think what inspired me, it kind of also convicted me a little bit, is when you said that everybody should, that you don't understand why, if you are a blogger, you don't have a digital product to sell. And I thought, man, I must be missing out on something that I should try at least,
Right. And so, because I was saying, if you're a food blogger and you're not selling digital products, you are
Yes.
missing out. Okay.
Yes,
so you took that in and you thought to yourself, wait, I should create one. And what did you do?
So I remembered, I think, Megan's other episodes where other people were saying that they just take the recipes they have on their blog and they put it in an ebook and sell it. And seemed to me a little bit like it's not going to work. It's free on my site. Like you're always saying on your podcast as well, that that's something that people always stumbling with. They think that nobody's going to want to buy something that's available online. But I heard that other people are having success with it. So I um, did that very quickly because I don't have much time. I have about a couple hours every single day that I spend on my blog, and I didn't want to spend a whole ton of time on it and then fail. So I just put all the recipes together in Canva. I downloaded a free cooking ebook from some other random blogger to see how she styles it so that I can at least have an idea of what I can do. And then I styled it in a similar way. And literally all I put there is my recipes with some notes that I already have on my site. And I changed some things with ChatGPT, but didn't do much extra work. And I put it out there first. And I said, if you would rather have an ebook, then go to the site for the recipes. I made an ebook and you can buy it for like $9.
Okay, wait. Let me stop you for a second. How many recipes did you put into the ebook?
16.
16 recipes. Did you put a photo and the recipe? What was like in for each recipe? What did it look like?
So I put a recipe, and on the side there's like a little glimpse of the photo because I didn't want to stuff it with pictures, because I thought if people are going through an ebook, maybe they don't necessarily want to see huge pictures and have a whole ton of pages with text. And it was a little bit tricky, like how big the text should be, because it's kind of small on desktop. I don't know how it's going to be on mobile. And then when you go to Kindle, on Kindle also words are very small, and you don't know, can people read this or not? But I Googled all this information and was able to create something. So the pictures were kind of on the side. And I didn't have full-size pictures because I thought it's unnecessary. I don't know. I didn't have step-by-step either because I thought it's too much work, and I'll put it out there. And if people say they want step-by-step pictures, I'll put it in. And it's,
that.
A $9 book. And so I'm not going to, it's not something that I'm selling for $50 and then disappointing people. Yeah. And so I put it out on.
So wait. So now we need to take a step back. You have a very big Facebook group.
Yes.
And people are responsive in that Facebook group. How many followers, how many people in your Facebook group?
So we have right now 22,000 people, I think. And it is a little bit like it's not normal. I think it's out of the norm how this Facebook group formed. I started it 4 months ago, and we are 22,000, and we're growing even more and faster and faster. And I think the reason for this is that my group is very, very, very niched down. We're literally only about gluten-free sourdough. All you can talk about is how you made this recipe. And let's say a few bloggers who blog about this. So there are many recipes people are trying, but pretty much all you'll see in that group is people posting pictures of their bread and what worked and what didn't. And I think that Facebook sees that it's a very engaged group. So Facebook gives it as a suggestion for other people that maybe you should join this group. That's my theory. I don't know how exactly it works, but I don't have any other explanation why my group is exploding, because I'm not advertising it so much anywhere. I'm doing like basic SEO for that group, like, the keywords and the title. I put a link in my cover picture on my profile to that. And I did kind of promote it at first in other Facebook groups, but that was in the first maybe couple of weeks, and then I stopped because it wasn't very authentic. People were a little bit frustrated sometimes. And even people who already joined my group, they were in those other groups, and then that complain, why do I post a link to my group and not to the recipe? So I was like, okay, I don't want to upset people from the get-go as I'm starting the group. And I think also people feel that they are experts in something because they see people posting about the same topic all the time, and then they respond to those people, and they feel heard, they feel seen, they feel like they've got some experience because they've been on this journey for a while, and so they feel good about themselves contributing to other people, because this is a very, very narrowed down topic, and everybody feels like they are on the same page, versus being in a group that is called, let's say, gluten-free recipes and advice. There is a group like this, and I am in that group, but honestly, I'm not so interested in what people are posting in that group because it's so broad. Like, you could be posting about gluten-free pizza you had in a restaurant and asking what options they have, let's say, in that restaurant for gluten-free. And I might be making gluten-free chocolate chip cookies. And so we're so on so much on different pages that, it's not doesn't bring people so close.
So, what I hear you saying is niching down is good. People come to me all the time and say, oh no, maybe I've niched down too small. But you, gluten-free sourdough recipes is very niche within food. So definitely if you are a food blogger, I recommend you think like Natasha and get even narrower. And I feel this way no matter what your niche is, try getting small, because there are people all over the world who probably are obsessed with that specific thing. I got on a call once with a guy who sells not trains, like trains you set up in your basement. He sells
Mhm.
the accoutrements to decorate the land around the train track. So, like the houses and the trees and the little people. He doesn't sell the trains or the tracks. He sells all of these DIY kits and things to make your train landscape full. And he has this thriving business selling these
Mhm.
kits. And I thought, oh my God, you don't even sell the trains? And he's like, no, or the tracks. No. So it was such a lesson for me about being more niche than you think, that you can, the riches are in the niches. And you're an example of that because your Facebook group is exploding. If somebody's in your Facebook group, they're not just gluten-free, but they're interested in not just gluten-free bread. They're interested in gluten-free sourdough.
Yes. And it is very scary, I think, to niche down for people. And I think I can understand why, because when I started my blog, I wasn't a gluten-free blogger at all. I was just a blogger, and I decided I'll figure myself out as I go. And it was scary to niche down to gluten-free because I thought, I don't want to be baking gluten-free every single day. I don't want to only eat gluten-free for the rest of my life. But the truth is that I'm not um, photographing and posting about every single meal that I eat or make. And in reality, I'm making 2 posts a week. So it's not overwhelming my life. But what was overwhelming my life before is every single day thinking, what next thing am I gonna make? So it felt like my whole life is filled with my blog and my recipes, but it actually became less so focused around thinking what's my next thing when I niche down, because it was simpler. Now I can do keyword research. I can kind of make a list of things I'm gonna make, and I can practice certain recipes. Like gluten-free is a bit tricky. You do need to practice. You can't just make a recipe from the first time and then post about it, especially if you're developing your recipes. But I was very scared to do gluten-free and gluten-free sourdough specifically because it is such a hard thing. I think the reason why it is kind of successful for me right now is because gluten-free sourdough is not easy to make. You really need to make it a few times because a sourdough starter is kind of like a home pet. You don't know why it's not feeling like baking today, and you need to feed it every day and at certain times and make sure it's happy, and then it dies on you and you have to grow a new one, and it's a bit difficult. But I think since not so many people out there actually doing it so actively, that's why it's easier to fill niches like this. Another good example is, I think, macaroons. To make a macaroon, man, it's hard. I also have macaroon recipes on my side, but uh you get a batch after batch that are not turning out, and you think, I'm wasting ingredients, I'm wasting everything. And but that's where it is. Like, if you can master those little niches that are hard and nobody's working on, you will succeed eventually, and then you can become an expert in that, and people will come to you for advice.
I love that. And let's go back to your story. You hear me on Megan Porta's podcast. I say create an ebook. How long did it take you from start to finish to create this ebook using 16 of your own recipes?
Since I was doing it for maybe an hour a day, or I don't know, that week was very busy. So I think it took me about a week, but I was also filming a video for a freebie in my group. So I think a week or half of a week,
Okay.
because I wasn't doing it a lot. And because I haven't put a ebook together before and I didn't have a template. So I think when you're doing something for the first time, it's a little bit more time. But I know that you say that you can make an ebook within 3 hours, and I believe it. I think it's like as long as you understand Canva or you know what you're doing, probably it
Okay.
will be
So
faster.
you make this ebook and you're a little skeptical. You're like,
Yeah.
I don't know if people are really going to buy this, but I'm going to try it. And you put it out into your Facebook group.
Yeah.
And what happened?
And people bought it. And I was surprised that that happened. I think I also offered some discount at some point. Oh, I think, yeah. So what happened is when I reached 15,000 people, I made a post saying, wow, this is so cool. We've reached 15,000 people. You guys are awesome. Here's a 15% discount on the book. And then a bunch of people bought it. And I think during that time, I had the most sales during that discount time. Then I made an upsell for the workshop, that I created later. And then people also were buying my ebooks through that. And interestingly, from the website, I'm not sure, but I don't think people have been buying it from the website at all.
Interesting. Okay. Now, have you put it on all of those posts that are in the cookbook, in the ebook?
Yeah, I did at the bottom of the post, right above the recipe card. And I think people have been clicking there because I saw stats and I can see that, like, let's say 3 to 5 people a day click to that link, but they end up buying it. I guess maybe because I'm not a big blogger on gluten-free sourdough. I just have a big Facebook group, but there are other big bloggers that people know, and I don't know. Maybe
Okay.
they don't have an intent of buying it, but
So can I
yeah.
ask you how much money you have made from this ebook so far?
Whew. Yes, I think let me look real quick. Like $200 or $300, I think. Let's
Okay.
see, 288.
Okay.
Yeah.
So close to $300. Then
Yeah.
how did you how did you end up reaching out to me?
I asked on Megan Porta's forum, what is the best way to sell an ebook? And I even made the title like digital products episode. And I said, I'm so inspired to make an ebook and I don't know where to sell it. So I just want something that I can start off for free and then they take a percentage. At least I know if it's going to sell or not. And then they said Gumroad or something else. And so Gumroad is simple, it's free. Then they take 10% of what you make plus something for the processing, for the Stripe processing, whatever. And so I thought, okay, I'll try it out. And after, I think within 2 to 4 days, I sold 4 ebooks and I saw that how much of a difference it is, like what I made and what they give me, like what they pay, that I thought if I actually do sell a lot of books, it's going to be frustrating to constantly give them like this much. And so I started looking for another platform that maybe takes a smaller percentage for sales. And I reached out to you because I went onto MiloTree website and you guys said that you have $349 lifetime membership, but I thought it's too good to be true. So I checked what percentage do you take from sales later, and there was no information on that. So I thought that must be the trick. Maybe they don't tell me how much they take. And so there was like a chat window. So I just asked, what is the percent that you take afterwards? And you said nothing. I
Well,
mean, you said
you
that
pay
you don't take
Stripe
nothing.
fees. We don't take a
Yeah,
cut,
yeah, yeah.
which are very normal, that, credit card fees that you have to pay.
Yes, yeah. You have to pay that everywhere. Um, and you offered to go on a call, but I didn't really want to do that because you said like a 345 is lifetime, and I thought it's really good, but at that moment I couldn't pay it all at once. And I think maybe on Thrive Card or on your site, I went to the checkout to see if you offer payment plan, and I didn't see a payment plan option, so I thought it doesn't exist. But you said that you have a payment plan option, and I kind of like invest whatever I make with my blog. I invested back into it, and, I'm able to pay that in, let's say, 3 steps. but I wasn't able to pay it all at once because I just started monetizing my site a few months, like a couple months prior to that. And I thought that it is very doable. And with the rate that I'm able to sell my ebooks right now, it seems like a very reasonable thing to do, especially if I'm going to continue my business for, years to come, and I will be with MiloTree for many, many years. Then it actually didn't make any sense to me how you making anything from it.
Right. So you
Like, why would
asked
you?
me this. You asked me. You said, I don't understand.
Yeah.
Like, are we like some sort of like, is this real? Right. And I said, okay, one, we do have a 3-month payment plan. And now you can see that on our checkout page. So for anybody who's interested, right now we are taking $349 and dividing it by 3. So there's no additional charge for that. However, eventually we will raise that price. So if you want MiloTreeCart now, go and get it for our 3-monthly payment plan. And what I said to you is a couple things. I said, one, right now we're new. So we want our founding members who have, like, I want to surprise and delight you. Because if I surprise and delight you, you will come on my podcast and talk honestly about your experience. You might become an affiliate for MiloTreeCart, where, by the way, we pay you $100 a sale because I want to reward you. I want to put money in your pocket, not in Facebook's pocket right now. And eventually we will be going to a monthly fee because you're right. This is like just for our founding members. And in fact, it will probably be something like $59 a month. But for now, because the more I invest in you, genuinely, the more you invest in this or are helpful or who knows, but hopefully you get like good feelings about this. And I'm a huge believer in karma on the internet. I've shared this before. If I put out good stuff, I get good stuff back. So why, like, I want to help you launch your business because that ultimately, one, it makes me happy to see you happy. And it then also makes our business grow. So we're in it, like you were saying, for the long term. We're in it for the long term. So anybody, just so you know, if you buy MiloTreeCart right now as a founding member, every feature we roll out will be rolled in. Because again, I want to reward these people who you took a leap of faith. So I want to give you that back. Whereas eventually there will be, monthly fees and all this stuff. But this is like a perfect time to get in on the ground floor just because, you're taking a risk.
I think that right now, if people really have an audience, then I think you offer more than what people pay you because you don't only offer a platform to sell, you offer step by step, how to launch a workshop, how to launch a mini course, how to launch an ebook. And I take your email templates and I just copy paste and change whatever I need to change. And I send them because I myself would not be able to come up with these kinds of emails that have these appealing little things here and there. Like it feels like it's very thought through. And I think that there's so much more in the whole thing, all these walkthroughs and checklists and PDFs that you offer. I think you could easily sell that, but you offer that for free with MiloTree right now. And I think that, like, I personally I have made my second installment payment, and I already made back maybe twice as much as I initially am supposed to pay for MiloTree. So I think if you have an audience, that it's definitely a very great investment.
Oh, well, thank you. Honestly, again, like this is exactly what my hope is. Like you've made me so happy just talking to you about this. And so let's go continue on with your story. So I say you're like very skeptical. You're emailing me and you're like, wait a minute, what percent do you take? And I go, we don't take any percentage. And you're like, do you have a payment plan? And I'm like, yes, we do. And it's 3 months. And you were like, I can't afford $349. And I was like, okay, but just so you know, we have this payment plan. And you were like, you're like, okay. And then you decided and I said, by the way, 30-day money back guarantee. You don't like it, I give you your money back. So you took the risk, you purchased it. And I said, let's get on a call, right? Like a coaching onboarding call. Because again, the more successful you are, the more successful we are. Therefore, we got on a call and you said to me, okay, so my ebook is working. I should create another ebook where I think you said this, where I make special recipes just for the ebook.
Mm-hmm.
And I said,
Yeah.
One, I don't think people will go, oh my God, I'm going to pay a premium because somehow this recipe isn't on your blog. That's just my hypothesis. I don't know, maybe they will. But I said, have you thought about a paid workshop? So this is when I talk about your digital product empire. Notice you didn't get rich. You haven't gotten rich from your ebook, your first ebook. It's been a nice little bit of money. You've been able to pay for MiloTreeCart, the whole thing. But I said paid workshop. And what was your thought about that? And then how did I convince you to do it? Or how did you get to say, all right, I'm going to do it?
I think it was an unexpected idea because a workshop is not something we always hear people talk about. People talk about making a course. And I kind of thought of that, but the amount of work that has to go into it was overwhelming. And I knew I'm nowhere near being that expert that's going to sell a perfect course or anything. And you said making a workshop actually makes you more relatable, and people forgive you for doing little things, that you would have to edit on a video and you have to re-record it. And I thought, that's true. I never thought about it this way. And I think maybe I even heard that on a podcast that you were talking about that stuff. And you said, why don't you do a workshop? And I think what also helped me a lot is that you helped me redirect the kind of the path where I was going, because you said a workshop and I thought, okay, something like in blogging, this long tail keywords that you just find something super, super unique and then you make a workshop on that or a post on that. And then I thought maybe I should do a workshop like this, but you said, no, that's not what's gonna sell. You should solve the bigger problem. And I think that was the key to the whole thing, because that's what I was able to sell, is how to make a sourdough bread.
Right. So
And
you
at
wanted
first,
to do like a very specific recipe. And I said, go where the big problem is, go where most
yes,
people are struggling or would want to see you do something. And then I think you said, well, I said, what do people struggle with? And you said sourdough starter.
yes,
And I said, well, go start there, which you ultimately did bread, but something broad. And I said, what about that? And you said, no, it's all over YouTube. And I said,
yes.
it is all over YouTube, but it's
It's true.
not Natasha teaching you. It's like other people are doing it, and what people will pay for is you.
Yes.
And how did you
Actually,
respond when I said that to you?
I don't know. I remember what I was thinking, is that it sounds like there is something in it. It doesn't make sense to a human brain when you think about it from a money perspective, but it does make sense in relationship standpoint. I think just like a side note actually on this, I am listening to another podcast that is not related to blogging, and there's a lady, this girl, she's 25 or 24, and she's super like happy and bright and just so fun to listen to. And she made a book. It's a Christian podcast, and she made a Christian book, wrote a
But
book.
what's
And
the
I thought,
podcast? Wait, what's the podcast? Just in case people are interested.
it's called Have You Heard podcast. And she wrote a book called You Are, and then loved at the bottom. And I thought, man, there are so many books, like Christian books, that I've read and I've heard about. I definitely don't want to read another like book on theory and like Christian theory or something. But when in one of the podcast episodes she was saying that her personal stories in each chapter that she doesn't talk about on the podcast, those struggles that she had in life. And I thought, wow, I want to read this book. I want to buy this book because she writes about herself. She writes her personal stories. And I noticed that thought, and I remembered, what you were saying too, that people want to connect with you. They want to hear your stories. People are missing connection in this world because we're so much online oriented, especially after COVID, home office, all that we really miss connection. That I thought there is something in it, and maybe people will actually want to connect in a workshop kind of scenario. Yeah, and so at first I kind of asked my audience. I think that also was something that you suggested, to ask them what works for them, what topics they want to explore. There were a few options like making bread, making a starter, or something else specific, like a different recipe. And most people voted for bread, and then the next one was starter. There were a couple of votes for other things, but mainly those two. I asked them what time works best for them, and somehow it was Tuesday at 12 p.m. I don't know why, but that's what people wanted, and
What
that's what
time
worked.
zone? What time zone?
Central time.
Okay, got it. Okay.
For America, because most of my people there are from the States. And yeah, so I sold, I think, 18 spots before the workshop and then 2 afterwards because
And
I
wait, how much
continued
did you charge?
20.
Okay.
But most of the spots sold when so I offered at first for the first 10 people, I'll offer a 15% discount. And a couple of people signed up, but then when it came to the point where like I have one more spot left, there was like 10 people who signed up for the same, because they feel the urgency. Like you also like to say that you make people feel the urgency and the scarcity that then they need to buy it. And it was interesting that the less you offer, the more people want to buy from you. And then some people did buy for the full price, but I think I had more discount spots and mostly from Facebook, some from email as well, but mainly from Facebook. And the reason being because I have, let's say, 20,000 people on Facebook and maybe 1,000 sees my post, which is a little bit frustrating because I have so many people, but what for? If only 1,000 sees it. But then in my email, when we talked with you last time, I had less than 200. Now I have close to 500, again, because I followed your advice for creating more freebies for people to opt in, because I only had one video training that I thought people will, sign up for and I'll get more email subscribers. But you said make, little checklists or, little list of baking essentials you need for making bread. And I started making more and more and more of those and just putting them out. And for some, a bunch of people signed up, and for some I didn't even have one subscriber. For some I had 3. And now I have constantly people are signing up every day, maybe like for about 10 people I have daily. And so now I have almost 500. But if you think about it, I have maybe 50 to 60% open rate.
Wow.
And then like 200 people will see and 2%, 1 to 2% will buy, where on Facebook there will be 1,000 people who see. So right now Facebook is a little bit of like more lucrative place for me, so to say, because I have bigger reach. But I think once my email list is bigger, then potentially I will be able to sell better through that.
I wanted to take a short break to help you get started. Natasha began her digital product adventure with a simple ebook. So I have an ebook that I created that I'm offering to you for free today. It's an ebook on how to write an ebook using ChatGPT. I know, very meta. You can grab this by going to milotree.com/AI ebook, and you can write your own in under 3 hours. Plus, I've just updated the AI prompts, so definitely grab it. Go to milotree.com/AI ebook, and I look forward to you starting your own product adventure. And now, back to the show. Are you at this point, so you're getting sales, are you thinking, oh, well, I said to you, if you get 2 sales, didn't I say 2 people come, do it? Because you'll practice, you'll have the recording, and you can sell the recording afterwards. Like, it's an asset. And I think you were, again, kind of skeptical, like, ugh. And I think you were a little nervous, like, how do I set this whole thing up? So like, I don't want to put words in your mouth. Like, talk me through this idea of like, oh no, I'm getting sales. I'm going to have to do this workshop, and what that process was like.
Yeah. I thought, well, my job is to put it together. If anybody buys it, I'll think about the next step. But then they bought it, and I thought, oh, now I have to actually do this. But I think what encouraged me is what you said, that this concept that you have about B minus work. I listened to like, I don't know how many podcasts I can quote you now. So you say that you don't have to do an A plus job. It's okay if you show up and do a B minus, because people, on one hand, people don't know you're doing a B minus job, but it's also above average. So people are getting what they want. They think it's good. It's not bad. They feel that you put work into it. And then it took pressure off of me, because I felt like I don't have to have a perfect setup. I don't have to have perfect camera, perfect lighting and everything for the workshop to work. I think I listened to Megan's podcast episode once where the lady was actually talking about how she does workshops and how she's able to make money with it. But she made it seem like she made it sound a little bit like more unapproachable, that it's a little bit more professional. You need to have like a camera to shoot these and then that, and but I was able to do the same setup with my phone and my computer. So I have a phone with a good camera that I can take pictures with as well. And I put it on a tripod on my kitchen counter, and I had my laptop like right now. And so I did a presentation first, the theoretical part of like what bread is and how we make it and blah, blah, blah. And then camera. So I signed into my Zoom call from my phone, like a different person. And then I muted myself, turned off sound on one device. Then I switched to the other one and completely turned off everything on the other one. And my video wasn't perfect because it was just like showing my counter, but everything was visible. People could hear me, but it looked like I'm in my kitchen. I'm not in a studio. And I think that made me feel a little bit insecure because I realized afterwards when I was rewatching the video that I forgot to put away my cleaning rags from the window seal, like right behind me. And I thought, oh, that looks so awkward. But I think people probably didn't care so much about what is in there. They cared like what I'm doing right now with this bread. And I really liked how simple it is, that if you have a phone and you have a computer, you can actually make this happen. And I think one thing that I couldn't figure out at first is how to flip the camera on my phone. I thought I have to do it with the front camera, and that was very bad video, but it wasn't very intuitive how to flip the camera. But then I was able to figure that out, and I think that was good.
Wow. Wow. And I to reiterate, like what I said to you is like it's if it's not perfect, weirdly you seem more human. Think about the difference between Instagram and TikTok. And notice Instagram copied TikTok with Reels. And during the pandemic, I think we got a little tired of the beauty of Instagram, everybody's curated lives, and people just showing up on TikTok with a messy kitchen, doing a dance was entertaining. And even now, I find TikTok more weirdly relatable than Instagram. I like Reels because they seem a little less perfect. And I don't want to see people's perfect lives. I want to see that they've got mess, or that they're kind of in this struggle of humanity like I am. And then it feels relatable. And otherwise, if your life is so perfect, I don't know how to connect with you.
Yeah, and I think it is trendy nowadays to have imperfect things. And if you notice, if you go to like IKEA or some other place that sells, home things, that you'll notice that a lot of dishes or other things are they're not perfect anymore. They look like as if they were homemade. They're unstable a little bit and like not round perfect and everything. Like in food blogging, you see all these nice pictures with these plates and little dishes that look so crooked, but they look pretty because they are not perfect. And I think in everything we have this kind of now.
I'm going to say, I don't know if this is true, if anybody listens, isn't it called wabi-sabi? It's like a Japanese term where you want that imperfect to make things relatable and feel good to you. I think that's right. I'll look it up afterwards. So you do the workshop. No, well, first, just to back up. So with MiloTreeCart, we do offer like product launch checklists. So you used our checklist, which is in depth, for, I think it's like maybe 10 days or 12 days, like follow this. On day 1, do this. On day 2, do this. On day 3, do this. Like set up your Zoom settings and we'll show you how to set those up. Send this sales email on, day 3. And then here's a new, I think we have like 5 sales emails. We have Canva templates. Did you go through the checklist?
Yes, I did go through the checklist, and of course I filtered some things out. Let's say if it's a 12 day and if my workshop was a bit closer, so I took out some of the emails, or I did some things in one day instead of 2 because they're just like 3 steps here, 3 steps here. I can do it in one day. But basically, yes, I did follow it. And I think what really helped me is the Zoom settings. And you have to get this plan and you have to this, because it makes you feel safe that I didn't forget anything. like Jillian said, if I do this, it will work. Actually, it was interesting that on the test call that we did with my husband, it worked perfectly and the recording started. And then I did exactly the same thing, but on my actual workshop, the recording didn't start. And one of the people, right before I started the presentation, one of the attendees said, "But are we recording this?" And I thought, "Oh, I didn't hear the message that it's being recorded." And then I had to manually start recording it. I don't know where I lost that little setting, but I'm so grateful she mentioned that. But yes, it was very helpful to have this worksheet. I think that helps you feel safe that somebody's kind of coaching you through it, even without, being there for you face to face. And I think it's very, very valuable. Without it, I don't think that it would be as easy to launch these little products. And I think I even went back with ebook. I went back to look at what you suggest, to how to sell it better. And your emails are really good because you really put them together in a very kind of like enticing way.
Oh, thank you. Well, what we
Oh,
feel is given that I've done workshops and I've had to dig into the Zooms and the settings, and I've had to write lots of sales emails, if I can get you up that hill and make it easier for you, then again, I help set you up for success. So, and that you feel supported, because as you know, building a business alone can be lonely, and it can be like, what happens when you have a question and then you have to go to YouTube or Google or whatever and try and solve it? And I want to take the roadblocks away so that you could do just what you did. Like, okay, I'm going to try and sell it. Oh, I got sales. Okay, now I have to figure out how to do it, and promote it and whatever. And that you just went step by step, but that by doing it that way, it didn't seem as overwhelming, I don't think. I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth, that you were able to kind of go, all right, and B minus worked the whole way and it worked and you made money.
yes. Yes. And I think B minus concept is the key to everything, because then you feel like you can put this email together real quick and send it, because nobody cares about you, like you say again. Nobody cares about, you as a person. They just care about what you have to offer to them. So you put something together real quick, a PDF or something else, you put it out there. People don't like it, don't take it personally. Do something else. Do it better, do different thing.
Okay, so when you finish it, what was the biggest learning for you?
I think that as scary as you think it is on one hand, and that there's a lot of possibility, I think,
Ooh,
for
what
these
does
kinds
that
of
mean? Will
things.
you elaborate? What does that mean? Like, what did it make you go? Like, what else could you do? What did you think? Oh, I finished. Were you exhausted afterwards?
No, no, it was really exciting. I was looking forward to it. I think the only period of time when I was a bit stressed out is about an hour right before it happened, because I felt like I have to keep so many things in mind. I was focusing on it, and that was a little bit stressful. But I think the whole time leading up to it, I was excited about the workshop because I know what I'm talking about. And then during the workshop, it was natural again because I was seeing the faces of the people. And in our recording, there is a funny part where I didn't mute everybody, and I don't even know how to do this. And people just sometimes forgot to mute themselves, and in the background, something was happening. And then in the recording, those screens came up, and there was a guy who was talking with somebody, and another lady who was in the call decided to tell him to mute himself. And he's like talking back to her because he didn't hear what she said. And then he's introducing himself and she's telling him to mute him. And it feels like you're watching a show that people are talking to each other, back and forth. And it's a bit funny because of the situation, the whole situation. And then you go back to what's happening, like a little ad break. So I think it felt relaxing for me too, that I could see the people and talk with them a little bit, and that they could share a little bit, their struggle with sourdough. And I think also it depends on what you allow in your thoughts and your mind. Like, are you, what do you, what are you thinking people are thinking of you during the call? I think there were moments when I thought, oh, this person has this kind of like smile on his face. Maybe he thinks that I'm being silly, or that what I'm saying is like silly, or that I don't know what I'm doing. Because all of the people on the call pretty much were older than me. I'm 29 right now, and all of them were, I think, like 50, 60, or I don't know. And it was a little bit intimidating because I feel like they know so much more about everything in life, and I'm trying to teach them something. And so sometimes I felt a little bit deflating that, oh, I don't have excitement right now to continue talking about this. But I think you shouldn't let those thoughts in because they're not going to help you. And you do what you do, and people probably don't think about, you so much after all.
So after you finished, did you think to yourself, I could do this again? Did you have an idea of what your next thing is going to be? Kind of how did you think it, like after coming off of this, what did you think?
Yeah, I thought that I would like to have another workshop because this one sold really, really well. And it was, I made, I think, 360 or close to $400 with just this 1 hour workshop. I thought, wow, this is so cool. I should do another one. And I experimented with like offering a 30-minute one-on-one counseling call with them for sourdough, but I felt like maybe people are not so in need of this personal kind of coaching with this. And I thought I don't want to do it for $10 for 30 minutes because I feel like workshop, is 400 and then I'll spend an hour for 20. So I didn't feel motivated. So I offered it for 30 and nobody signed up for it. But I thought, well, it makes sense. Maybe they don't like it was if only 18 people signed up for a $20 workshop out of like thousands and thousands, then of course they don't want to do a 30 minute for 30 for something that they don't even feel like it's a essential thing in life. But what I was thinking that another thing that people voted on was sourdough starter. And this is something that I had a little bit more struggle with lately. I started, I think, selling it a week ago, and it seems that people are just not so eager to sign up. I had 6 people or 7, I think, that a lot of them are returning from the first workshop.
Ooh, good
And
sign. Good sign, by the way. Good sign.
thank
That
you.
means
Yeah,
you
I
did
hope.
it. And these are the people that you want to love on. So, hey, Janet, it's so good to have you back. Brian, how did the bread go? Like you building those bonds because they will buy from you again and they will be in your corner. And when you say, hey, could you write me a testimonial about this workshop? They're the ones who will do it. Or they're the ones who will, when you say, hey, Michael, go tell your friends about this, they will. Like that's how, so again, like my goal is to turn you into a true fan because then hopefully, we roll out something else. Like we open up our membership, which is coming and you're like, I want to be part of that membership or whatever, whatever it is, because you go, I trust her and I like her. And that's exactly so the workshops are a great way to make $400 and to invest in the people who will continue to help you make money.
Yeah. And I also felt relieved that there were people who came back. One of them wrote a testimonial in the Facebook group, and like you also suggested to, go on calls with people and ask them for feedback. And that was also something super scary. But since I'm more of an extrovert, it's less scary for me, I guess. And sometimes I can just like close my eyes and say, okay, I'm going to take the step and see what happens. Because after all, I don't care so much what people think. But I couldn't get anyone to give me feedback. Maybe just they voluntarily gave me feedback. Some people just because they wanted to. I offered, so I DM'd I think 2 people, and I sent an email to 3 with the email I of in my workshop on bread. If you just get on a call with me, talk to me about my ebook. No, didn't even reply to me. Then I sent 2 or 3 DMs, I think. And one lady replied to me saying she didn't have time to get into the ebook yet. So that's all the feedback I got. But one lady did give a feedback about the workshop, and she said it was great. Then the other, also another lady also said that it was worth the money and it was very good, and that was encouraging for me. And also I was thinking about the membership, and not so much even because I think that people need to meet with me twice a month and make something, gluten free. But I think because people need community and connection. And I listened to the episode with Summer that you had, and she made her membership for $18. And I thought, well, I kind of like, I want to make it more expensive, but I think 18 is such a good middle ground for people to feel that they are not committing to so much money a month. So maybe more people will actually sign up, and then it puts pressure off of me to perform more, that people are going to, pay 30 or 50 and then they will feel like, is it worth my money or not? But they think, well, I'm only paying $18 for this, and we have calls twice a month, and then we have this group, so it's worth it, you know? So I'm thinking that maybe it's a little bit counterintuitive, but I'm thinking maybe it would make sense to offer a membership for 18. It's a little bit unmotivating to think that what if only 3 people sign up and I have to, do calls twice a month for, I don't know, like $50 when I can do a workshop for 400. But I think maybe it is worth it with the looking into the future, that maybe more people would actually sign up for
Now,
this.
one thing you could do is start it for $18 as, ready for it, your founding members. And then in MiloTreeCart, you can change the price. And the people who get in early, they'll stay at $18. And then you can experiment with launching it, say in a couple months, like relaunching it, do like, kind of beginner insider launch for founding members, get it at this price. It's never going to be this low. Then in 3 months or so, when you feel like you've got your sea legs, you can launch it officially at $25 or $30, but the founding members will still be at that founding rate. So be thinking about how you can, again, give certain people that specialness, like Brian or whomever, to go, hey, I care, you've come to I would offer it for all the people who came to your workshop at a special founding price. And see if that works.
Yeah.
Also, have you resold the recording of your workshop?
Yes. I sold, I think, 2. Interestingly, I posted it in the Facebook group that you can still buy it. It's still available. And I think maybe one person bought it. And then somebody randomly in some comment was answering to me in some absolutely different post saying that, oh, there's the workshop is still for sale. I had no idea. I should definitely go buy it. And I'm thinking, okay, so I should probably post about it again because people might want to buy it, but they don't know. And then I post about it. And out of 20,000 people, my post reaches like 900. And it's so frustrating because you think, why? It's my group. I'm the admin. I'm offering something people want. Just show it to them at least, And there's only reach of like less than 1,000. So yeah, I was able to sell 2, but I think I'm not selling it in a right way. I think I need to market it some different way because right now I feel like it's not so. I think inside about it that it's not as good to pay for it because. Yeah, because I feel like there are those moments, of people talking to each other and the screens showing up and me like being sometimes awkward or having those rags in the back. And I feel like I can't sell it because I don't believe in it somehow.
Look at that limiting belief. Look at that story you're telling yourself. Because what I would say is go to the digital download launch calendar in MiloTreeCart. And I think it's like 6 days or something. And it has all the emails to send to your list and sell it as a product, hey, I'm doing this limited time offer, selling you this because in fact, I heard this from Carrie from Clean Eating Kitchen, did a workshop on how to get off sugar. And then she emails me one day and she goes, yeah, I just made another $400 by selling the recording to my email list. So it was like an event. It wasn't just like, hey, do you want to buy this? It's available. But use those emails because they have a progression where it's like, hey, I'm offering this for a limited time. And you send the emails over, I think 4 or 5 days. And it's like, hey, get it now. So it gives it that scarcity. But that way you might be able to get out of your own story, the negative story, and just go, I'm just going to follow this checklist. And then please report back to me and see how many sales you get.
That's a good idea, although I feel like I'm doing sales in my email all the time because I did my workshop. Then a week later, I started advertising the new workshop. And so I maybe had one email in between the two where I simply gave out information for people that, hey, there's some tips for sourdough starter. And I feel that all people get from me is like, hey, buy this, buy this, buy this, buy this.
Well, a couple things.
I don't know.
I have a podcast going live soon on selling, which is also you're providing value. And my hunch is in those emails, you might be giving them tips. I would do that. But I would say people aren't really thinking about you. They are not necessarily focused so much on your email. I would add some value emails interspersed as well. like sending them to, I don't know, some, a blog post, like maybe back to school. And then you can do some back to school easy crescent rolls or whatever it is that would be like useful. But I wouldn't be afraid to sell. I wouldn't, because you're providing value, and people have your Facebook group and they have your blog. And so send them to some cool blog posts as well. But this is again where I think that like this podcast, I'm calling it something like get out of your own way and find joy in selling, because I think we all struggle with this. I struggle with this, and it's and I've been selling for a long time, and it doesn't mean that it does get easier. It is a muscle that you work at, but it doesn't mean that those doubtful thoughts pop into my head all the time. So I think that's just part of it. And I think having somebody kind of like having this conversation of me saying, okay, no, that's a story. And yes, give value, and also believe in what you're selling, and see if that helps you. And if people complain, then you go, okay, maybe I'll cut back. It's okay. But I would just, again, know that you are creating tremendous value for people and creating community and giving real good information on sourdough, like gluten-free sourdough, like such a like random niche thing. And yet you're building like a whole group of people who are really into this, like the train guy selling the accoutrements for the train tracks. Like that's so weird. So I just have to say, I like what you're doing. I find so inspiring, and watching your journey through this process has been so, it's like honestly, this is what gets me up in the morning, is being able to kind of be that older sister saying, you got this. Like, how about this? Try this, see if that works. And if it doesn't work, that's okay. And by the way, it is kind of back to school time and people are due on vacation. And so you have to always be factoring in where people are in their lives as to whether this might be a good time. So back to school, or like September here in the United States, that's a big time where I was just emailing somebody, another blogger who teaches blogging, to say, hey, we should do something in September, because that's when moms who have their own blogs kind of get back into business.
Yes, that's true.
So be thinking just seasonally where people are in their lives and how you can kind of reach them at the right place. And a lot of it is experimentation, because you don't know. And in fact, I feel like when we were having this conversation, coming up with like, what could this idea be for your workshop? And you're like, well, it could be this, this, and this. And I'm like, okay, well, I could say sourdough starter sounds like a good idea, but I don't know. And I said to you, go ask your group, like, go test it, go see what they say, because they'll know much, I'm just one person and who knows? So that's where it's like, okay, so next time, probably I won't run a workshop at the end of August. Okay. But maybe it would work in September.
Yeah, that makes sense. Didn't think about that.
So, okay. So first of all, by the way, I don't think I even asked you this. When did you start your blog? How new is it?
In 2021 in November.
Okay. So let's see, almost
2 years.
2 years. That's amazing.
Almost 2. Yeah.
Okay. And what right now about your blog are you most excited?
Actually, I am super excited about it right now, because I started and I decided I'm not going to invest a whole ton of money into it. Although I know in business you have to invest, but it was a little bit scary for me. So I decided I'm going to pay the minimal things that I need to pay, like hosting, like the needed plugins, and only I paid for plugins like a year later, I think, like hosting, domain name, everything. And so for me, I got accepted, let's say in April, maybe, to She Media with my 15,000 sessions. Now I'm at like 20, and I made goals that, okay, so I want to get a Feast plugin because that's good for your SEO for your site, or I want to get Cooking with Keywords course. And I kind of made that plan for myself that according to what I was making with my site, with my ads, I was able, let's say, to buy Cooking with Keywords by like August 6th, then Feast maybe in September, and then better hosting, like let's say in October. But actually, after selling these digital products, I actually already did the Cooking with keywords already, and that's super exciting because I feel that like all these goals are just now, they're completed, and now I can actually dream about the next step and actually think like, okay, what could be the next step towards the big dream, of actually making full-time income with this whole blogging thing.
I
And I
love
think
that.
digital products is something that came on the scene very unexpectedly. Eh, But yeah, that's exciting. Just the development of things, I think.
I love that. Okay. If people have questions or they want to get into gluten-free sourdough, see what you're doing, where and your Facebook group, where should they go?
My website is Natasha's Home, and I have all of my recipes there. Then I have linked my Instagram and my Facebook group there on the website. And our Facebook group is called Gluten-Free Sourdough Bread Baking Community. And so I think if you just write on Facebook gluten-free sourdough, you'll find it. And the reason it's such a long heading is so that anybody who writes in gluten-free bread or gluten-free sourdough or baking, they will find us.
Well, Natasha, I have to say, it has been so satisfying, so exciting watching your progression. And I can't wait to see what you continue to create, what you continue to do. And I'm so happy to call you my friend. So thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you so much for all your help and for having me.
I hope you guys like this episode. For me, this was so satisfying just hearing Natasha's journey. And since we recorded this, she has been reaching out through email telling me all of her latest product successes. And what's so cool is how quickly Natasha made back her $349 and then some. And now she can use MiloTreeCart for free, selling any kind of digital product she wants. I hope this episode inspires you to start your journey. And if you want to get on a short call with me so we could talk about your business and I'll be honest with you to tell you whether I think this could work for you, just head to milotree.com/meet because I would love to meet you. And I will see you here again next week.